You are about to learn the most effective unarmed combat techniques that Special Forces personnel use to disable or kill the enemy that is trying to do the same to them. These methods use only your body and any common improvised weapons that you can lay your hands on. They work on the battlefield and they work in the back alley. But this is not a fight over a spilt drink. This is war. First of all, forget any flashy martial arts techniques you've seen. If your life is on the line, if somebody intends to maim or kill you and is bigger or stronger or well armed or well trained, there are only a handful of attacks and defences that you can rely on to drop him before he drops you. This is all the self-defence you will ever need to know. Knowing hundreds of techniques and targets will just waste time while your brain selects the most suitable. I'm not going to try to impress you with flashy names and spinning kicks. I'm just going to show you what works. We're going to start at the top and work our way down the body, looking at all the most important pressure points. These are the most effective targets and the easiest to find. When you're born, your skull is not fused correctly, and throughout your life there is an area which remains weaker than the rest. There are fusion lines running across the top and across the side from temple to temple. Right in between the two, and I'll mark it for you there, is the join. This is the weakest part of the skull, and by happy coincidence it just so happens that just beneath that point two optic nerves cross from either side of the brain. Attacking this target with a downward 45-degree strike with your fist, or if it's lower, with your elbow, with a hard object, and probably fracture the skull, damage the brain, and crush the optic nerves. The most likely immediate effects, certainly problems with vision, certainly temporary, maybe permanent. Brain damage, very likely causing unconsciousness, and if the skull is actually broken and fragments of it enter the brain, then death is a very likely result from attacking this target correctly. Moving on, another weak area of the skull. In fact, there's two of them. The temple on either side. Again, this is a slightly weaker part of the skull. A really hard attack, a good punch, better still, an elbow or a hard object is very likely to cause serious damage to the side of the skull there, sending parts of that into the brain. Again, it's a double target because we have a major artery on both sides passing across there right through the middle. So when you're attacking the temple, once again, you're attacking the skull and you're also attacking a major artery. The eyes are another very vulnerable part of the head. They can be attacked in a number of ways. If you're desperate or if you can't see properly or anything like that, you can just rake the finger straight down the face, obviously putting pressure as they go past the eyes. If you can temporarily blind the person that is attacking you, then that buys you time either to get away or to plan your next techniques. You can attack them more directly with a straight jab, just with your fingers out, nothing complex. Jab your fingers into the eyes, not from too far away because aim can be a bit of a problem. Or if you're grappling with him, simply take the back or the side of his head and jam your thumbs straight into the eyes. Attacking the eyes obviously causes at least temporary and possibly permanent eye damage. In actual fact, with your fingers or thumbs, if you push hard enough and deep enough, this is actually a death technique. You can cause compression to the front of the brain, which will cause instantaneous death. And he'll be dead before he even hits the floor. Anything you can get into the eyes, any foreign object, is obviously going to at least impair the vision. If you can get anything sharp, such as screwdriver, keys, anything like that into the eyes, obviously that's going to cause damage. Even if you can just pick up some dirt off the floor, chuck that into the eyes, obviously that's going to impair his vision, giving you an opportunity. Another target, very much overrated I think, but still very much worth mentioning and important, is the nose. It's a lot of people's favourite target. In your backstreet brawl, it's very often just a case of a punch to the nose. But I've seen people with a broken nose get up and continue fighting instantaneously. If they're high on adrenaline or even drugs or drink, you cannot rely on an attack to the nose to cause enough disability to make you safe. If you're going to attack the nose, if somebody is trying to kill you, you want to be doing exactly the same thing to them. It's quite a well-known technique, but I'll show you. What you're doing is simply using the heel of the palm in a 45-degree upward strike, roughly following the line of the bridge of the nose, to force that whole structure upwards through the weak bit of the skull, which is there, and the mucous membranes, into the front of the brain. Again, compression of the brain, again, instantaneous death. Okay, moving down, one of my favourites, the jawbone. Number of ways we can attack that. Each way, what we're aiming to do is send a shockwave along the bone of the jaw to the back of the brain. That shockwave will disrupt the brain activity just for an instant, long enough to stop the heart and the lungs, long enough to cause unconsciousness. The most common way, certainly in a street situation, this will be attacked, is with the right hook to the line of the jaw, and that's fine, and there's a good chance that will cause unconsciousness. Better still, a much stronger technique, we'll look at these techniques in more detail later on, the elbow to the side of the jaw, extremely effective, and in fact that can well be strong enough to dislocate or even shatter the jawbone. Best of all though, is the area known in boxing as the button. Now this, one of my favourites. 45-degree angle, doesn't matter, most people it's an uppercut. You can get away with a little bit of leeway on the angle. An uppercut to the jaw, fairly straight. You're not looking for a real swing, what you're looking for is the impact, that shockwave to be sent to the back of the brain. Bang! Now what they don't teach you on the martial arts, if you're going to hit somebody, it's best to hold them in place. The reason they don't show you that in martial arts and boxing is because it's too dangerous. If you're holding him so he can't get away and you're hitting him, it makes the technique far more effective. Now the collarbones themselves are fairly good targets. Once again, you're looking for a 45-degree downward angle. Again, you want maximum force. Now if you can, if the given situation arises, or if you can get him to do it, if the arm is extended, the collarbone pops out slightly and that makes it more vulnerable. But generally speaking, he's going to be in a fighting stance and you're looking to get through his guard, which would be up something like that, through his guard, downward 45-degree angle, with the side of your fist, with an elbow, with a hard object. It's extremely painful, but most importantly, the collarbone is very important for supporting the arm. If you break one or both collarbones, one or both arms are no longer any use to him. And that means that he can't defend himself anymore, he's much more vulnerable, and just as importantly, he's now much less able to attack you. I mentioned the solar plexus earlier, it's a very important pressure point, and we're going to cover that now. Right below the sternum and the xiphoid process, you have the bottom of the lungs. And running along there, you have the diaphragm, which is the muscle that controls the flow of air into and out of the lungs. Furthermore, in front of the diaphragm are two great big lumps of nerves. Attacking the solar plexus with a light to medium attack is certainly going to impact upon those nerves. The immediate result will be paralysis, usually temporary, of the respiratory system. A very hard attack could cause permanent damage to those nerves and even physical damage to the diaphragm itself. That of course is going to yield the maximum result. Solar plexus is actually quite a large area. You don't have to be precisely accurate, although it is a pressure point. Once again, all the usual techniques apply. A nice straight punch is great. 45 degrees upwards can also be very effective. And again, if you miss, you're likely to hit the xiphoid and the sternum, so it's all a whole good area around here. Once again, you can use the knee to bring that in there. My favourite, in my opinion, the most effective attacking technique is always the elbow attack. Either straight, downwards, or up in a 45 degree movement, attacking the solar plexus. You can at the very least expect very severe pain and the inability to breathe for a short period of time. With a very powerful attack, even a kick, if you can do that, is very effective. We're now getting down to the kind of height where it's safe to use a kick. Very, very effective pressure point. If he's lucky, he won't be able to breathe and he's going to go down. And we talked about it before as well. A good attack to the solar plexus, he is going to be doubled up in pain. Even if he doesn't go on the floor, he's got all of these great targets. And I would just touch upon at this point the fact that on the back we've also got the kidneys, again with a good hard strike, fairly useful target. And just below the ribcage on this side we also have the spleen. Now these aren't my favourite targets by any means, but the kidneys and spleen can be useful targets if there's nothing else available and if he happens to be in this very vulnerable position. Okay, starting with the torso, moving on to some targets that are still effective. I wouldn't class these as 100% guaranteed effective targets, but they're definitely worth a mention. I've talked about the rib cage, which comes up like this and curves round into where you've got the xiphoid process in the sternum. On the left-hand side, your left-hand side, his right, just underneath the rib cage on that side, half below the rib cage and half actually underneath the rib cage itself, you have the liver, which is a very important target. Now in boxing, this is one of the favourite targets. Even with a boxing glove on, hitting the liver particularly hard or hitting it twice in fairly quick succession is so painful that it can actually cause unconsciousness and shock. If you're hitting that with an unprotected punch, better still, again my favourites, the elbows and the knees, that is going to yield very, very effective results. You've heard the expression below the belt. In boxing and the martial arts, what you try to do is avoid hitting your opponent below the belt because you don't actually want to do him very serious damage. If the bloke is trying to kill you, it's a different story. And serious damage is exactly what you're trying to achieve. You don't need to see where the belt is here. We're going to talk about the bladder and the groin region. Bladder is situated round about where on a pair of trousers you find the belt buckle. Just above or below, with a decent attack, it's going to yield the same results. The bladder is empty, it's going to be painful, either with a punch or an elbow or a knee. Again, we're getting down to nice low targets here where you can start using your most effective techniques, your leg techniques, which are obviously the most powerful with the body's muscles in play. Nice powerful strike to the bladder. If it's empty, it'll be extremely painful. Again, it's going to double over, which is going to potentially reveal very useful targets to you on his back. Now if the bladder is full, with a very powerful attack such as an elbow or a knee, even a punch to a certain extent, it's likely to actually rupture and burst the bladder. The most immediate response in his body from that is going to be shock, followed fairly quickly by unconsciousness, and if he's not seen by a skilled medical practitioner, death from toxic shock syndrome. Staying below the belt, a lot of people's favourite target and very effective, the groin area, loads of ways to attack it, just from a simple slap, and in actual fact, I've found that a light to medium slap can be just as effective as a very hard technique. Nice slap upwards to the testicles, or of course the knee, or, and this is a nice one if you're trying to keep your distance, just a nice quick kick, perhaps even with your front leg. You don't need a lot of power, just a nice quick kick with the front leg up between the legs. It'll be certainly painful, probably debilitating, and once again it's one of these techniques where he's quite likely to double up in pain, leaving himself vulnerable to your other techniques. To the rear of the groin area, you've got a little bone which many years ago in our evolution was the start of our tail, a bone called the coccyx. fairly easy to attack if you happen to end up in a position behind him. Really the only effective way to attack this is with a nice sharp knee upwards, underneath the buttocks, really sharp, hard technique. What you're aiming to do is send a shockwave up the spine. Likely results of that, certainly going to be extreme pain, possibly to the point where he won't be able to stand up. You're also hitting the spinal cord and the really hard strike, potentially the back of the brain as well. This can cause unconsciousness, and it can even cause major damage to the spine itself. Again, you're looking at potentially unconsciousness with a really hard strike, and perhaps you follow it up with maybe an attack dropping him onto your knee, breaking the back, or other attacks to the back of the head, and targets we've looked at, you could be looking at death. Object, again, pen, screwdriver, 45-degree downward angle. Hard attack to this area is likely to have a number of results. A very effective attack with the elbow or with a hard object using maximum force is likely to cause major damage to the windpipe, is likely to cause major damage to the bloodlines, is likely to dislodge one or both of the clavicles, the collarbones, from the top of the sternum, likely even to break off part of the top of the sternum as well. Okay, the legs are great targets. If you're going to attack the legs, you want to attack them properly, and there's certain vulnerable areas you're going to be particularly interested in. You can use the most powerful muscles of the body to push downwards and attack the knee. That can be very effective. Or swinging your leg around in a roundhouse kick to attack the side of the knee. The knee is taken out, which is quite easy to do with a reasonable amount of force. Then he can't stand up, and again, if he can't stand, he can't fight. He'll be unable to balance and support himself. You can aim lower down, swing that swinging kick down to lower legs, literally sweeping his legs out from under him. He's going to go down. At the end of the day, as I say, if you can't stand, you can't fight.